a gun on their girlfriend, or throwing an Uber driver's phone in the street, or pissing out of their second-story window. Those last two are actually the same person, by the way. Shout out to Xena the Witch on Kick. We're at 300 bookmarks. It's dialogue.
I'm sorry, it's happening too fast. Okay, J. Aubrey, you gotta slow down. This is more information than I have time to process here. Was that a Sneeko tattoo? Not just a small little one too. It's like, oh yeah, I think he's neat. Was that a full size, like full life-size face tattoo of Sneeko? New costumes. Yes, even more costumes. More than ever before. Is there more side boob? Well, I mean, you'll have to download the DLC and pay lots of money to find out, but you could get some of that precious side boob. Yes, the most glorious of all boob. The reveal. We'll see, you know? But no, we're not talking about Stellar Blades today. I want to talk about Kick. If you don't know, Kick's a streaming service that's run and owned by Stake.com. Kick operates in the same way that casinos have showrooms. So when you go to a casino, there might be an act that you really like. Oh my God, look, it's the Beach Boys, and they're playing at my local casino. That's fun. I'm gonna go watch them. I just have to get through this long pathway to get to the entertainment room that seems to have a lot of shiny lights and sounds. And oh, someone's approaching me. What? I can have a free drink, you say? Well, I would love a free drink. What do I have to do? Just sit down at this blackjack table? Okay, I sit down and you'll bring me a free drink? All right, well, I guess I have to occupy myself and my time. I'm here already. What's this? A game of chance. Oh, neat. Yes, I believe I could participate in this. A little bit of coinage, you say? Well, what's a little bit of my hard-earned dollars if I can have the opportunity to win a whole bunch more money now? So I'm going to do that. And Kick operates that way, but digitally, and except of, you know, gambling in a casino, it's cryptocurrency gambling on Stake.com. And so they bring in you for entertainment purposes. A bunch of big streamers, XQC, Trainwrecks. They were doing the gambling meta, where they were just basically doing, you know, slot machine gambling, addicting all of their audiences to gambling. And then Twitch eventually was like, okay, enough, we're going to pull the cord, and they stopped them and their ability to do that. And so eventually Stake could see the writing on the wall, and they're like, you know what, we need our own Twitch where we run the show and anything goes, and a whole bunch of people will sign because we got so much money to spend on people to buy that entertainment. You know, they want to get all of that. You know, they want the boys to men to be able to perform every now and then, to bring people in to again gamble. Ultimately, that's the whole purpose of it. But it also allowed this kind of Wild West. What if there was a streaming service with barely any rules, or the rules that do exist don't get enforced? And we have horrifying people, you know, who are going to go on there. Aiden Ross is a good example, who's like literally just going to stream commercial sports or movies and stuff and see how long he can get away with it. You know, I'm gonna let J. Aubrey talk about the depravity of some of the streamers on the platform before we get to the big whistleblower testimony.
I feel that this platform has its ups and its downs, and 90% of its downs are made up by the people that use it. Bro, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I don't hate anyone, but I really hate you, bro.
All cloud chasing, jealous, hypocritical losers. I will do anything to get to the top. I'll do anything for a viral moment.
It's time to groom, Chad. It's time to groom.
Wait, how old are you? Don't actually answer the question. I don't even...
Did you guys see the apology video? Did you guys see the apology video? Yes or no? I honestly meant that sincerely, bro, and I actually shed a tear when I got banned, bro. I swear to God. I swear I did. Y'all saw it? No?
Kick is a joke. It's like going to a zoo and just pointing at all of the exhibits and just being like, ah, that's interesting. And then walking by.
You may have seen this clip. A woman is dining at a restaurant minding her own business when some middle school live streamer comes out of nowhere and grabs the food off her plate in a sad attempt to impress his chat. And then he gets mad at her for calling him out, making it seem like she's the crazy one for having a normal human reaction.
Don't put your hand in my food again. Do not do that. You don't do that to people. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Stop filming me. You're nobody else. It's a lie. Don't do that again. Hold up. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
I won't reveal the name of this toddler, mostly because it's not relevant, and also I'm just a spiteful guy. But I do think he serves as a good example of this new wave of streamers who try to make a name for themselves by being a public nuisance and not much else. Someone like you or me.
Quick correction, that's not new at all. I mean, the entire YouTube phenomenon of it's just a prank bros, the ones who are just doing nonstop social experiments. Like, it was the exact same style stuff, right? Like, hey, this is a social experiment. In this experiment, I'm going to try and grab your tits. It's not because I'm a pervert. I'm not sexually assaulting you. This is just because I want to see how this would play out in general society for the purposes of making this YouTube video. It's a social experiment, bro. Don't take it too serious. Don't get it twisted, all right? I'm literally just doing this to find out facts about the world, and now we're going to do it. And, okay, so people are freaking out about this, but no, it was not sexual assault. I essentially was just doing this as part. I say it on camera, all right? You can look, rewind. I said social experiment. I said the magic words. This doesn't count.
You may look at this clip and see it as the embarrassing display of desperation that it is, but it's important to remember there's also an entire generation of younger viewers out there who may see it differently. Believe it or not, this kid does have an active fan base, one that festers over on the controversial Twitch alternative, Kick.
Please pull us over! Please! Take more Viagra. You don't know how to...
Oh god, I'm about to dox your entire family. What's your name?
Kick is popular for a few reasons. For one, it's a safe haven for degenerate gamblers to broadcast their addictions in real time. I mean, the crypto casino Stake that serves as its lifeblood was started by Kick co-founder Ed Craven. They call him that because he's craving a jackpot every time you open his fucking stream. But Kick is also known for its brazenly loose terms of service, being marketed by their co-owner and friend of this channel, Aiden Ross, as the ultimate beacon of free speech for this very reason. Unrelated, but in preparation for this video, I did sit down and watch an Aiden Ross stream, and I kid you not, this is what he was talking about when I first tuned in.
Don't call me weird, I'm about to say. Y'all make your bro pee by like putting his hand in the water and shit.
What?
He peed his pants. It was a drunk night. He blacked out.
Okay.
I took my 2 fingers and rubbed it on his crotch area with the pee. So I got like pee in my fingers. And he opened his mouth and I put his own pee in his mouth.
Incredible stuff happening on Kick. There's nothing like it. Seems like every other day we see someone over there pulling a gun on their girlfriend, or throwing an Uber driver's phone in the street, or pissing out of their second-story window. Those last two are actually the same person, by the way. Shout out to Xena the Witch on Kick. We're at 300 bookmarks. It's dialogue.
I'm sorry, it's happening too fast. Okay, JLB, you gotta slow down. This is more information than I have time to process here. Was that a Sneeko tattoo? Not just a small little one too. It's like, oh yeah, I think he's neat. Was that a full size, like full life-size face tattoo of Sneeko? Who are these people?
I'm gonna just pee in this bucket. Let me dump it out the window.
But the point is, you have to really try to get even as much as a 10-day ban on Kick. It takes a lot. I just want to add something else here before we continue. While I was editing this video, 2 other creators wound up in the news for streaming themselves on Kick drinking and driving. Just flying down the interstate at 110, throwing back a bottle of Smirnoff, being an active danger to everyone else on the road. Even hurling the bottle out the window.
Oh man, that's just what. Oh, back in my day, people would drink and drive, and then they would wake up the next morning and not remember it. And nowadays, they have to broadcast it all over the interwebs for everyone to see.
Go into oncoming traffic at one point.
Yeah, no, this is a really fast way to kill people. This is a very fast way to promote murder. To be completely frank, it's fucked.
Kick is barely a year old. How has it already had so much controversy? Take Riot Lol, for example, who was recently outed by YouTubers Something About Chickens as a groomer who would use the Omegle alternative.
There's so many groomers on the platform. Zerka just got caught, like, you know, trying to, pick up a 16-year-old, and then did all this kind of like, okay, so just so everyone knows, we did our due diligence, okay? I ID'd all of the teenagers that we were with, and many of them had IDs. Would you do any differently? And why are you partying with teenagers in high school? Yes, I would do that differently. I would not fucking do that. Like, what is wrong with you?
Monkey to collect explicit images and videos of young girls on stream to post in a Discord server without their consent or knowledge. Many of these girls were underage.
Wait, listen, how old are you? I'm 19.
Oh, I'm 16.
You said 18?
Yeah.
Riot's account has since been deleted, but not until this video began making the rounds, causing a bit of a PR problem for the folks over at Kick. Something About Chickens showed evidence of a literal Kick staff member in Riot's chat at the same time Riot was speaking to underage girls. Not exactly the best look for the platform, I think most would agree. What could have been a promising competitor to the monopolies of YouTube and Twitch has so far been nothing but a breeding ground for the lowest, most obnoxious illegal criminal activity you can think of. And that isn't much of an exaggeration to say.
Wait, the Island Boys, what happened to them? I only know the Island Boys from like those TikTok videos that you could pay them on Cameo to basically sing like white reggae for you, and that was all I knew.
I'm in the sidewalk. I'm in the sidewalk. Come to SD Island.
Why is everyone going around saying I died, bro?
Alright, so I'm just gonna address this because it's getting way out of hand.
Today, we'll be documenting a total of 5 kick streamers who have all become infamous for their own separate reasons. Not all of these people are nearly as criminal as Riot, of course, which is why we'll be starting easy, with some of the least egregious offenders first, before moving on to the more depraved scumbags.
Okay, so this whole video is 2 hours and 25 minutes, and I want to listen to the whistleblower who actually worked behind the scenes at Kick and her testimony, so I'm not going to play, obviously, every single person, but we'll play the first and the last. All right, we'll hear the least egregious and the most egregious
later on. This is gonna be a long one, and it probably won't be the easiest to sit through at certain points, but I am personally fascinated in shining a light.
You don't want to know what they're doing? They're doing incest porn? What? Jesus Christ.
All you have to say, speak English to me. Don't fucking Japanese to us, man.
Okay, bro. I mean, I'd smash a 6-year-old, bro. Why not? Some of them are hot. Like Japanese ladies, they keep themselves nice as shit. By the way, when I was an English teacher, I used to have to do Santa. You know Santa? Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. I used to be a very good Santa. Sit on my face, I mean my lap, and tell me what you want for Christmas.
I think you see what I mean.
Like, what the fuck is with Kick and pedophiles? You know? Like, everyone was like, Kick is gonna be just where a whole bunch of the most fucked up people go to do the most fucked up shit. And I was like, yeah. And then, like, when they said that, I was like, well, there's probably going to be, like, a bar to keep at least pedos out. But it's like, it became the pedo platform.
It's like the more you research Suspendus, the more you start to worry about the people who have to endure his presence. But if you're wondering what compelled Eddie to extend those warm wishes I mentioned a second ago, well, Suspendus was at one point arrested in Nepal for asking to marry what was reported to be a 15-year-old girl. And Ed, being the saint that he is, wanted to make sure our boy was safe and sound after such a harrowing incident. I mean, who wouldn't?
The boss over at kick.com, we let him know he was happy that that we're all okay. So thank you to Eddie. I'm okay.
This generosity isn't anything new though, with Ed gifting Suspendus subs in the past and professing his overall admiration for him as a creator after his wedding, as seen in this Discord message from October 2023. You know, months after footage depicted what looked to be Suspendus assaulting an unconscious woman at a Japanese karaoke bar on Kick.com made headlines. According to this screenshot, it would seem Eddie is happy to help that guy out with anything he may need. How nice. I'm sure Sus could certainly use it. He gets himself in trouble pretty much every other week. Here you can see Suspendus with Slightly Homeless, another streamer whose story I'll save for another day, harassing the locals in other countries. This is kind of what they're known to do, but this clip in particular garnered a high level of infamy when, after they get rejected by a random girl they just walked up to on the street, they go on to ask if she's for sale.
We like to marry girls at first sight.
Yeah.
Can I marry you?
No.
Why are you so shy? And show us what you're selling. What you selling? Are you for sale?
These are Mandela. Are these for sale?
Now's a good time to mention that Suspendus, yeah, he's 40 years old. And this is how he speaks to someone who is clearly a younger person he doesn't even know. Now, while it was reported in the news that this girl was 15, I personally haven't been able to find any clip to verify her age myself. But if you ask me, just as a rule of thumb, you really shouldn't be speaking this way to anyone on the street, much less someone who looks as young as this girl does. I'm not going to be showing her face for the sake of maintaining her privacy, but just know I'm not the first person to call out what's going on here. These guys realized pretty quick they had flown too close to the sun when Nepalese authorities showed up and placed them under arrest later that day.
Dude, what are all these police doing right now? Wait, brawl them? Hello.
Sir, please close. Yeah.
Close it?
Please, just a minute.
Okay.
Please close.
This closed.
What's going on?
I don't know. Should we get out of here?
What do you do next?
We're okay?
What do we are here for you.
Helping us out?
The police saw this clip, and Suspendus and Slightly Homeless were promptly charged with child endangerment. Whether or not they meant it as a joke was a moot point in this moment, as a representative from the US Embassy promptly informed the pair that they were facing a maximum of 10 years in prison. Slightly Homeless was quick to admit he probably afraid of the possibility that he was going to jail in Nepal for a decade, but Suspendus has always maintained that he did nothing wrong, and he was detained for no reason.
Oh, so they just let you guys go? No 10 years in jail, nothing?
Of course, Ice Poseidon's there.
Somehow, they ended up slipping out of that one, but the threat of a criminal conviction in a foreign country was enough to prompt Sam Pepper, yes, he hangs out with these guys too, to pack his things and get the fuck out of Nepal.
It was just not worth it, guys. It was not worth it to stick around and end up sharing a jail cell with homeless. Do you know what I'm saying? And that'll probably be out in a day or so. It really isn't worth it.
Suspendus originally dabbled in fashion. He started his own apparel company around 2011, which went by the name of So Fetch Clothing. Somehow, their Facebook is still up, though I probably would have taken it down a long time ago if it had pictures of me looking like this or this. If you were online in 2014, you might recognize Pedo Bear on this particular number. Kind of a weird thing to put on a shirt, but even after all these years, Suspendus stands by his artistic vision wholeheartedly.
As far as the t-shirts, yeah, I designed them. You know what I mean? I thought they were awesome t-shirts back in 1990. The bear was a meme, you know what I mean? I'm older than most of these other streamers, so, you know, they probably don't remember back there, and especially if you're not from America, then you wouldn't understand the meme. It was funny as shit at the time. We live in a world with woke people, triggered people.
Cancel culture coming for the pedophiles. Oh, it was only a matter of time. 1984, am I right?
Things like that. If you're woke and triggered because of a shirt that I designed 15 years ago, then you can stop watching my channel.
Spoken like someone who asks young girls if they're for sale. You may have noticed a second ago that So Fetch Clothing was originally established in Philadelphia, which begs the question, how did a fashion designer from Pennsylvania end up making content all the way in Asia? But as the lore goes, Suspendus fled the United States after being hit with a lawsuit from Paramount Pictures. Turns out you can't trademark a phrase that originated in one of their most iconic films to date. Yeah, Suspendus apparently tried to copyright the phrase So Fetch, which is so fucking stupid. He also has several outstanding warrants spanning from multiple tickets he's refused to pay, as the YouTuber Spree included in his documentary. If you want a more detailed and thorough exploration of Suspendus's entire story, I'd recommend giving it a watch. There aren't a whole lot of people out there.
This just even as a sample was too much for me. I'm like, I'm worse off for knowing that these people exist.
Chronicling the sad, embarrassing life of Suspendus, so his story can be a little difficult to track, honestly. All I know is there are people who have said he lives in a former crematorium outside of a Japanese cemetery, which, if that's true, he's living like a Tim Burton villa. I mean, crematorium. Now is also a good time to take a little detour and introduce a forum by the name of Alex Addicted, which honestly could be its own video with the amount of weird allegations out there surrounding this thing, but for the sake of time, I'm going to be keeping this segment fairly brief. There's actually already a great video on its history by the YouTuber Marcy that I would recommend you check out if you want all the disturbing details. But what you need to know for now is that according to its own website, Alex Addicted was once the premier online site for alternative modeling, created all the way back in 2005. During the early 2010s especially, Alex Addicted provided a space for scene kids to post pictures of themselves and engage with one another. You can still find remnants of Alex Addicted strewn across YouTube and Facebook, where members would proclaim their commitment to the site and deny any allegations of wrongdoing by the agency's founder, an anonymous user by the name of Alexa, who claimed to be a teenage girl herself, though her true identity remains heavily debated to this day. More on that in a second. For about the past decade now, there have been allegations floating around that this Alexa person would ask underage users to post explicit images of themselves to the site. One girl by the name of Chrissy Lynn uploaded a video back in 2013 detailing her experience with Alex Addicted, describing what all she witnessed as a young 14-year-old user of the site. She described Alexa as a domineering force, someone who would abuse and berate the underage girls who made up the website.
I was in this site when I was 14. I'm 17 now. I was 14 and I was just starting out site modeling. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and Alex Addicted was like the shit, right? Like everyone was always talking about it, and so I thought I'd join, you know? And I saw Alexa asking her models for nude photos. And I mean, of course, this threw me, like, I had obviously never had anything to do with the cyber online world. I didn't know if this was normal or not, and it kind of threw me. I was like, oh god, is she going to ask me for some? And I saw a bunch of the girls in there, I'm not going to name names, I saw a bunch of the girls in there posting nude photos. When I left, she immediately started freaking out on me, calling me names, telling me I was fat and ugly, I needed more makeup, and that I needed
It was just basically a giant, you know, child sexual abuse material forum. This is what it sounds like.
to lose weight, and that I would never be good enough for Alex Addicted anyways, even though I was in her sight before I left. And she was just horrible to me.
If you were to read the comments on this video, you would find Suspendus's name being brought up dozens of times over the past year. Why is that? Well, Suspendus was in fact a model on Alex Addicted. This is indisputable. We know this thanks to a video uploaded in 2012 depicting old modeling pictures of Suspendus, whose real name is Avram Merlin, along with this description that reads, Avram is a new model with AASM. He is also owner and CEO of SoFetch Clothing. I love his style, love his ambition. I will be promoting SoFetch on all of my channels. Suspendus himself has also discussed his time with Alex Addicted openly on Kick, albeit it's still a bit confusing. He remains pretty vague with what he was actually doing on the site, other than saying he's proud of the pictures he took on there and doesn't care much about it now since it was, quote, 15 years ago, and there's a statute of limitations on all of that. Okay, not sure why there would need to be a statute of limitations on something if you weren't doing anything wrong. What does that mean?
That was always the most annoying to me. People talking about shit that happened like 15 years ago. I don't give a fuck anymore, man. There's a statute of limitations on private life shit, bro.
He also writes off any questions regarding his time on—
Yeah, that's a really sus way of saying anything. Oh, the stuff of my past? I think I'd describe that as that there is a statute of limitations on it. I'd be like, why'd you say that?
On Alex Addicted as a psyop by the government, whatever that means.
It's a fucking psyops operation by the government, bro. Are you crazy? The only thing that you have to, the only word that really will get—
Honestly, it really just fucking sucks that right-wingers have made like an entire pipeline for this shit where every single one of them, if it's like, hey, by the way, you're accused of some really fucked up stuff like potential child sexual abuse. Oh, that's because I tell the truth. That's like the deep state coming after me and planting shit because like I just speak too much truth, and that they're just going after anyone who does. So yeah, that's what that is. That, and also like wokeness, like honestly, this is cancel culture, and like if you like want to start talking about things that happened 15 years ago, you know, that's just because everything's woke now. That's all. It was totally fine for the time, even if technically it might have been illegal then and still illegal now, but yeah.
Get you anywhere is psyops. If you don't know what psyops is, then I really can't help you. You know what I mean? But basically, it's all just a fucking illusion anyway.
He also mentions he already covered all of this back in 2021, but believe me, I have searched high and low for that video and cannot find it anywhere.
I think in 2021, I went into length about what Alex Addicted was. I mean, I wasn't as big streamer then than I am now, but there's a video out where I talked about it for about an hour, you know what I mean? So I'm not gonna go into it again. I've already talked about it. You know, hundreds or thousands of online people wanted to be models, including myself. I don't regret anything. I thought those days I fucking shot wonderful pictures of myself, very, very happy. So for anybody trying to correlate anything like that,
appreciate it.
You know, go and do your research for yourself.
I'm trying to, and I just end up with more questions. Ultimately, with such limited information to go off right now, it's impossible for me to repeat the claim that others have made that Suspendus himself is Alexa. That seems to be the narrative a lot of people have ran with, but I can't sit here in good conscience and say for certain that that is the case. Now, that absolutely doesn't mean he's chill and normal around minors. Trust me, he isn't. Incident took place. The two women are—
like, at what point is someone going to suddenly be like, hey, by the way, there's a company like directly financially incentivizing a ton of incredibly illegal behavior, including sexual assault and pedophilia. Like that's basically where we're at right now in the horrifying kick streamer stories. This whole thing, I believe, was written, made, and produced and released before the whole Zerka got caught, and kicked off of Kick for, trying to hook up with a 16-year-old and tried to do this whole like, oh well, we ID'd them. It's not my fault. That's not fair. Okay, so they're all scumbags, but that's what's front-facing. Those are the people, the streamers, the superstars that apparently the owner of Kick is fine with uplifting. This is the first time we've had someone who worked within the company speak out against what happens behind the scenes.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, which is probably 99% of you, my name's Melissa, and I was previously employed by Kick and Stake. There's been a couple of controversies recently that I've posted on my Twitter just in regards to how they've treated me since I left. Not only did they send me a cease and desist, which I'll go into in a second, in regards to this tweet, or here, but they've also been lying about the fact that I was fired when I quit. So I posted this post with my resignation letter in it. I think a lot of people were kind of confused on why I would post a resignation letter to like 700 people that follow me on Twitter. This is because quite a few people in the esports industry do follow my account. And I thought it was a good way to showcase that if they had heard these lies, that they were absolutely unfounded. And I felt like I really had no other option. I mean, it was either let it go or try my hardest to get it out there, that was absolutely not the case. Now, when I talk about them lying about me being fired, I'm not talking about an entry-level exec or some account manager. I'm talking about the CMO of both Kick and Stake. The guy that approves all the contracts. He's the head of the affiliate team for Stake. He runs the social media team, but pretty much everything runs through him. Every event, anything at all, as far as ideas or streamers or anything runs through this guy. He's basically Ed. He's on pretty much the exact same level as this guy. He directly reports to Ed. The CMO basically runs everything. I think they decided to go with this strategy because Stake and Kick are supposed to be sort of booming at the moment, and a lot of people in the industry would probably think it was crazy for someone to leave because it's such a big opportunity, and it really is, especially being in Australia where we really don't have a big entertainment industry at all. So, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for people. I think that they would have thought they would get away with saying that I was fired because there's no way someone would leave this business. Little do they know it was actually extremely easy to leave with the things that go on in that office. The ego on these people is insane to think that no one would leave, but they do employ people purposely that are completely okay with unethical behavior and conduct it themselves and work with zero integrity. So I'm not surprised that they were surprised that I would leave. I guess that was a mistake on their point to even employ someone like me, thinking that I would be okay with even a quarter of the things that happen in that office. It's important to note that the office environment for me was extremely hostile, not only because I was being treated pretty poorly by a couple of individuals and the people that I went to for help were not helpful at all, but because there was just a consistent disrespect to other people's opinions and beliefs. And this went as far as to just consistently hearing the F slur, and not even just in jest, like as a joke. It was specifically, targeted towards people that it was supposed to discriminate against. Even so much as to walk past the socials room, the guys that run the, Kick streaming and Kick community, and hear the N-word just dropped, hard R. And I'm like, what is this office? How? And they had the executive, like the upper management was in the room. And I just sort of was like, what did I just hear? I couldn't believe it. And it's like, I came from companies that if you said anything slightly offensive, you are in trouble, if not fired. And I think, there is a balance that you have to strike, but at the end of the day, it's the company's responsibility to ensure that everybody feels safe and welcome. I even remember seeing a couple of people in my team laughing because they were deliberately misgendering transgender streamers. How do you function in that environment? So in regard
It's like, so the company who's like front-facing superstars are effectively engaging in criminal activity and getting paid to broadcast it on this streaming platform, and behind the scenes they're just a bunch of edgelord bigots. It's like a bunch of edgelord bigots are running a streaming company, and like Kelsey Pease, definitely shocker there. I'm actually a little astounded to hear how bad things are at that kind of level, because for all the we want to make fun of Kick kind of stuff, we're still talking about a massively expensive company. It is no joke to try and run a competitive streaming service with all that entails, including hosting fees and recruitment and having a team that's going to be acquiring big assets such as people like XQC or people like Amarath, I think, is another person who went over there, and all the other big streamers who slowly one by one started becoming Kick streamers. There's again millions and millions and millions of dollars that need to be spent, and huge amounts of teams. You were talking hundreds, if not thousands, of employees are required to run a business of that size and to have it work and function. But at the same time, you're finding out that this is exactly behind the scenes how you'd expect.
It's my resignation letter. A lot of it was blurred. This was just due to the fact that a lot of it was personal information that wasn't really relevant, or it depicted another staff member whose story is not mine to tell. But the part that you could see that I really didn't want public, but I knew if I blurred literally the entire thing out, it would have zero impact and people would just assume that it was fake anyway. So I speak about the fact that I needed flexible working arrangements and that they were revoked. A lot of people assumed that I needed to be home all the time, or I was working from home, or I wasn't showing up from work, or I was taking a ridiculous amount of time off, which is just absolutely not the case. So my daughter started school in February, and every second week I needed to pick her up. So I would get in at around 9:30 after dropping her off. I wouldn't take any breaks or have lunch, and I would leave by about 2:30. It's important to note that a lot of staff members work from home, and we absolutely didn't have a stringent office working environment where we couldn't actually access information outside of the office. Especially my team, where we had to work 24/7 because we were the POCs for a lot of partners overseas. And also I was consistently working with businesses overseas. So there were times where I would be working from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. outside of work hours after doing a day's work. So it was very normal to work from home anyway. And all I needed to do was work from home for a couple of hours at the end of the day to pick up my daughter every second week. You can imagine it was a surprise to me when the manager of the partners team, yes, the same guy that has been going around spreading lies about me, sat me down and just flat out said that my flexible working arrangements would be revoked effective immediately and I need to find alternatives. I found it absolutely disgusting that that was effective immediately when basically giving me no time to come up with an alternative. And not to get too personal, but I don't have anybody to lean on. I don't have friends or family that can help me out here, and they were very aware of that. So for me, there was no other options. They were basically telling me to choose between my child and my work. Of course, I asked if this had anything to do with my performance, because to me, that was the only excusable reason that they could have to even revoke the rights, but to do it so suddenly. I was told in that meeting that it had absolutely nothing to do with my performance, which made sense to me because I wasn't underperforming at all and I hadn't been told ever that I was underperforming. So it would have been very out of the blue for them to just say it in that meeting and not tell me anything prior or give me any kind of notes prior to that, like, oh, please work on this, or you need to do better here. When I asked what the reason was for this insane backflip, they told me that my parental responsibilities were becoming a burden to the team's morale and that it was going to have an effect on their performance. And as you can see, this was solidified in this...
Wait, hold on, slow that down. Your parental responsibilities were becoming a burden to the team's morale. What? Is it a no moms policy? Like no mothers, the no mothers club.
Email. Yes, I have blurred out the rest because it's totally irrelevant and I want to make sure that this stays on track. This was very hurtful. You know, if you're a parent, you know that your morale is also very low, especially if you're working full time. So to hear that other people's morale was low, for me having to run around like a psychopath every morning and every night trying to, you know, scurry together to get her to school, to get to work, to leave work, to go get her, you know, it was a lot of pressure on me, and it's a lot of pressure on anybody. And to be so blatantly just disregarded, you know, and overlooked in that moment, it really sucked. Look, I wasn't at all surprised about being treated like this because the way that company is run is unimaginable, but it did make me sad being told that basically my daughter was a burden to other people. I also reference in this resignation letter that I was being mistreated by a couple of co-workers. I'm not going to get into this right now because honestly, it's just a lot. There's a lot to say. I actually made a video that was an hour and a half long about Kik, but I decided that I kind of came off a little bit like this guy, so I am not going to release that right now. I'm just going to go into my last month at the company and what was the turning moments that made me go, this is absolutely not worth it anymore. So after being told that I couldn't have flexible working arrangements, I sought out the CMO, that great guy, and I was like, what do I do? Where do I run? Who do I speak to? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'll speak to Ed. Ed is the one that basically fires you or he doesn't because of these types of issues. So every single day I came in, I was like, okay, I'm expecting them to give me an answer. You know, a week went by, 2 weeks went by, 4 weeks went by, and I'm still chasing this guy up. Like, what's going on? Can you just let me know? Like, can we talk about alternatives? I'm happy to do an extra day on the weekend if I have to. Like, I wanted to continue to try and move this platform to a good place, a safe place, a savory place for the industry. And I couldn't do that if I didn't work here. And honestly, they need all the help they can get in that regard because most people that work there really don't give a shit. I actually never got clarity on this at all. I actually quit before I ever got clarity about it. So who knows what would have happened. The stress of not knowing was definitely a part of wanting to leave. But there were two specific incidences in my last couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, that really solidified the fact that I was absolutely not in the right place. One of these incidences was when I was in a meeting and for those of you who don't know, there's a creator on Kik who got a contract through one of the bigger streamers. This creator has special needs and we gave him a contract out of good faith and the fact that this bigger streamer was quite a fan of him. Quick side note, I grew up with a severely autistic cousin and I am very in tune with the needs and well-being of anybody with a disability. So I wanted to follow up on this guy's contract renewal because the POC was the manager of the partners team. And I don't know if you guys have figured this out or not yet, but he's a massive dick. So I was really concerned that this streamer wasn't going to be treated well, and I was right. When I asked about this streamer's contract renewal, he had a smirk on his face and goes, "I decimated his rate." And this was apparently fucking hilarious because everybody else in the room laughed. I said, "Well, what did you put it down to?" And he proceeded to then brag about the fact that he got him on a below market cent rate for an English streamer. In their strategy to get this person over, the conversation very quickly became quite sinister. I'm going to say a quote, and something that I cannot get out of my head because it's so heinous to me. And I think it will speak volumes in, you know, the type of characters that work there, which is why I had to get out. The quote that I remember hearing was, "We can get her on Kick streaming steak for a relatively low price because she probably thinks she's going to die soon and she'll want to leave more money for her family." When I heard that, I actually was surprised. I sort of looked up in surprise. And everybody else was sort of looking at this person that was speaking and just being like, yeah, you know, that's true. Let's go with that. Like, I think we can get this person. And I...
Just, yeah, wow, goddamn. I mean, it feels soulless. It sounds soulless. Sounds just like, how can we exploit other people for maximum profit? Not even just simply profit for Kick, because Kick is, again, just a vessel to be able to promote Stake, the gambling website. So how can we best get as many people to come over and gamble on Stake through acquiring assets? And those assets are streamers. And even if they're dying from cancer or they're going through chemo or whatever the streamer was going through, that's a benefit to us because they might think they're going to die. So that'll be a cheaper, good ROI, ultimately.
Remember getting really hot after that. Like, I just felt like I was in hell and I was talking to the devils and I was talking to demons, like, and these demons were plotting to, you know, take over the world, and I had to stop them. Like, it felt so bad. When I walked out of that meeting, I actually ended up going home early because I needed to after having that conversation with my friend, I just needed to really, really think hard about whether I could stick this out.
To be fair, that last story could pretty much happen at every Fortune 500 company. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Kick is going to be particularly... Like, I think the thing with Kick is that other corporations of this size that aren't just simply propped up with cryptocurrency gambling profits, they put on airs. There's going to be an HR department. There's going to be a series of people who are like, oh, okay, so someone is saying the N-word on a repeated basis with the hard R. Well, okay, so we're going to have a conference and we're going to have to sit down and we're going to have to discuss some concepts about workplace safety, respect, equality, really talk about diversity in the workplace. Like, that's what you'll see at, like, again, like other Fortune 500 companies, instead of like, this is just, yeah, oh no, go ahead, do you know, let's, all the slurs you want, slurs for everybody, you get a slur, you get a slur, you all get to use slurs, everybody's an F slur here, kind of fucking like 4chan-esque, you know, rules. That part, maybe that's a little different. They're maybe not going to be as like open and brazen about that, even if there is a bunch of racists working for one of those companies. The other part, though, in which, like, I would assume a company of similar size that's a lot more corporate would do the exact same things, but they would try to use a lot more tact in how they would discuss it with their employees, right? They wouldn't just blatantly be like, well, this person thinks they're gonna die, we can probably get them on the cheap. You know, it's basically kind of like the neoliberals versus Trump sometimes, where it's like Trump will just straight out fucking say the quiet part out loud and everyone's like, oh, well, I'm aghast, I can't believe he said that, right? And so in Kick's case, it's like, yeah, maybe if it was you know, some other streaming service like a Justin TV or something back in the day, they might have been like, well, we deeply respect this individual and their you know, current struggle against you know, a very dangerous and debilitating disease. We do feel that it is in our best financial interest at this point in order to acquire them, simply because we feel this could be a fortuitous advantage for a number of reasons, of which we won't have to describe or get into, but that's exactly what we're feeling about this, and we think it'll be a good, again, return on investment that could benefit the company greatly. That may be how you word it, as opposed to just like, this person's going to die, we can get them on the cheap. You know, it feels just like a lot more outwardly blatant.
And obviously my decision was that I was going to walk away. I had no intention to expose the company, although a lot of people that I did speak to about these issues, like throughout the entire time I was there, and then
the CP, these people need to be, like that part, I'm just like, that part astounds me, that there has been like not one, not two, but like fucking an endless sea of fucking, you know, pedophiles, child abusers, and people who are openly trying to either assault children or pick up children or sleep with children or have photos of children, like, and they're just proliferating on this platform, and there's not a concern like, hey, by the way, y'all are the pedo network. That's like even more so than say like Cozy TV, the Nick Fuentes network. I would say that y'all have taken the mantle of like, you know, the pedo network effectively.
And obviously when I left, and the reasons why, they said that people should know about this, especially because this company has so much influence. Letting people know about what's going on behind the scenes might help them hold them accountable, and there is nothing without accountability. And right now they are not accountable for anything. As you can see, they just let shit slide. They do anything. They don't care about pedophiles on the platform. Like this guy right here, I had to fight tooth and nail to get this guy off. This is something I went into detail in the other video, but yeah, fought so hard to get this guy off, and he told two 14-year-old girls that he wanted to do something sexual to them, and he even included their age in the proposition. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, it's so heinous.
Can you imagine working for a company where you had to fight for that? Where you sit down and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by your peers and it's like, okay, so what's on the, you know, the business docket today? What do we have? And it's like, okay, so I just wanted to bring this. I'm sure that you all are already aware of this, but to your attention, if you didn't know, one of our most prominent celebrities on the platform is a monstrous child abuser and is trying to abuse two 14-year-olds. We should put a stop to this immediately. Ah, interesting. Why? Sorry? Why? Oh, no, I'm not ready for this. I assumed that all of you would just be like, oh shit, we didn't know or something at the, because it's illegal and wrong, ethically, morally, we're talking about the abuse of children. That's not what we're about, right? It's not something that we're okay with. I assumed, I guess unfairly.
It's so wrong. And the fact that everyone there could watch it almost with a grin on their face. There were staff members who were defending it, saying that it was a joke. That was actually one of the first times I was like, I have to walk away. If this guy stays on the platform, I have to go. Child endangerment, like having children on the platform. Before I got there was no verification process for...
even if it was a joke, like that's a fucked up sick joke to have a person continuously make over and over again. It's like, hey, what are you known for? Oh, I make a lot of jokes about sexually abusing children, and then usually ask underage people in my streams if I can sexually abuse them as a joke. It's you know, just a prank for the lulz. So yeah, keep me on your payroll. Keep paying me to make content for you. You'll get way more of that content, specifically that specific kind of content. You're gonna get a lot of it if you keep paying me.
If somebody was underage. And it's so funny because by the time I left, me and compliance had put together a process, and because I was pushing it so hard, I'm like, we cannot allow anybody under 13 to stream. Now, nobody knew this, by the way, because I guess when you copy Twitch's TOS verbatim and then you just get some random guy in the office to change, you know, the wording, none of the staff know the terms of service. So a lot of people were just like, nah, she can stream even if she's 6 years old because, you know, she'll have her dad near her or whatever. And it's like, no, that's actually not the case. She cannot be on the platform and she cannot hold her own account. Funnily enough, when I left, I was like, okay, good. The child safety part is pretty much done. They have a process now in place, and I'm pretty sure there's no need to allow children on the platform, because what market are you trying to capture? You already have pedophiles on the platform. Are you just trying to like appease them? Like, what's the point? I still don't know, because I saw this tweet about 2 or 3 weeks ago where a prominent staff...
This kid has been hustling all weekend. Dallas with a solid family at his side. Check him out when he fires up on Kick. Guys got to meet him. Reminded me of that one time he got me as an elf. Gave him a few autograph photos. Hope he will add up in game. Jesus.
Member is promoting on Twitter an 11-year-old boy who, whilst I was there, I was the reason why this kid got banned. And I'm sorry to the child that, you know, that might upset you, but it's about your own safety. And especially on Kick, I feel like sometimes Kick should be like under it. You can't even be on it under 18. This child was banned when I was there because, you know, I did have a zero tolerance towards it, because children need to be protected, not only against the people on the platform, but you need to protect children against being, you know, exploited by their parents, which you see on YouTube all the time. You need to protect children from people on the streams. Like if he got chat-botted, or, you know, a bad character came into his stream and started saying horrible things that you can only imagine, I would feel guilty for that. And who knows what that's going to do to that child as he grows up. Ugh, God, it's I just can't believe these people. Anyway, so as you can see in the tweet, he's just promoting him. He's reinstated his account. The kid gets featured all the time. And he's verified. And he's 11. And the reason I know he's 11 is because on his Facebook page that he used to stream on, it says, I turned 11 in Dallas. They just blatantly ignore their terms of service, which are in place to protect children from dipshits like this, that I, for some reason, had to fight to get off the platform. I'm sorry, it's this type of shit. This just makes me so frustrated because the bare minimum is to protect kids. And these two examples just showcase that they could care less.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have to fight with people over child abusers, if it's like, hey, by the way, I've discovered that there are child abusers on our platform, very prominent ones, getting paid lots of money, I'm here to bring this to your attention, and then they want to fight you on that fact, then they're in the position to want to defend the child abusers, right?
Could care less. There were times where I was nearly in tears because I just didn't understand why they cared so much about letting this guy stay and letting this kid on the platform. I don't understand. I do understand that the less savory streamers do have viewers that are likely to mortgage their fucking house to stream on stakes. So that is the reason. And well, you know, what's a few pedophiles for a few $1 billion? So anyways, thank you for watching. I don't know if this video is even going to go anywhere. I hope it does, because this is the only way that they're going to be held accountable. I also don't know what's going to happen to me because of this video. I don't really care if they sue me. I doubt Steak wants to be in a courtroom anyway, but if they do, I mean, I have nothing to take anyway.
I mean, every single time I see Kick in headlines, it's always for something horrible. It's always like asshole, racist, travels and is racist to locals in another country and streams it for money. Pedophile, pedophile, pedophile. Child abuser, child abuser, child abuser. Someone is trying to pick up 16-year-olds. Someone's trying to pick up 14-year-olds. Someone's trying to pick up 17-year-olds. That's when you see Kick in the fucking headlines.
The socials room, the guys that run the, you know, Kick streaming and Kick community, and here the N-word just dropped. Hard R. And I'm like, what is this office? How?
There's some wild claims.
The executive, like the
I was really curious what his reaction was going to be, right? Because obviously it's not a great look if you're going through the video where she, in pretty great detail, talks about how she tried to bring to Kick's attention. She was an employee, right? And she actually dealt with the teams behind the scenes in Kick about child abusers, you know, potential pedophiles on the platform. Her disgust at the fact that someone who was dying from cancer was seen by the team to be a cheap acquisition because they think they were dying, you know, a whole bunch of fucked up shit.
Management was in the room, and I just sort of was like, what did I just hear? I couldn't believe it. And it's like, I came from companies that if you said anything slightly offensive, you were in trouble, if not fired. Like, and I think, you know, there is a balance that you have to strike, but at the end of the day, it's the company's responsibility to ensure that everybody feels safe and welcome.
Just seeing the chat, and there seems to be a mix of statements, and then randomly people are spamming defend it, defend X, defend X.
I even remember seeing a couple of people in my team laughing because they were deliberately misgendering transgender streamers. Like, who, like how do you function?
A lot of people being like laughing, fake, woke.
In that environment. So in regards to my resignation letter, a lot of it was blurred. This was just due.
Howdy everybody. I just wanted to let you know that for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can unlock bonus uncensored episodes of Mind Explosions by going to patreon.com/theserfs. Our videos couldn't exist without your support, and all our content is released early to our Patreon subscribers, as well as a ton of extra content you can't get anywhere else. Please like, subscribe, and thumbs up this channel, and if you're feeling extra perky, share it anywhere you think people would like to see or learn from our videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We first want to give a shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. This program is produced thanks to the generous support of our Patreon supporters: Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbar Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multi Mondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bomey, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Travis McClinton, and Words Greenwood. As well as every other person you see on the screen right now, this show would not be possible without them. And if you want to join these wonderful people who make this entire program possible, simply go to patreon.com/theserfs and you can unlock uncensored and bonus episodes and, you know, help us exist.